everybody, happy Friday. It's Vernon from Reptilia Exotica, and today we're going to be taking a look at a project we've been working on here in a 12 by 12 by 12 inch Exoterra cube. This cube used to have our baby Biak green tree python, Mr. Miyagi, in it. He ended up getting a lot bigger than we thought, a lot faster than we thought, so it was time to move him into his large vivarium. So we decided to repurpose the little cube here into kind of like a hybrid Paludarium, Vivarium project and see how it works. We're not really sure what we're gonna do with it. We've got it planted, it's up and running for about a week, and I wanna show it to you guys and get some feedback from you. So if you have any ideas of what type of animal we could put in here, or what you think we should do with it, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, because we're thinking maybe some dart frogs, or maybe a very small species of like gecko or something. So let us know what you think down in the comments, and I'm going to go through the process, you know, as much as I can. I should have probably done a step-by-step build video, but I didn't. I'm just gonna walk you guys through the process and show you where we are today, and then we'll do a follow-up video down the road a little bit, and you can check out what it looks like when it's fully grown in. Let's do it. So this is what our little experimental Paludarium slash Vivarium consists of so far. We've got the plumbing and everything is planted and in and up and running, and has been for about a week or so. So keep that in mind. It's looking pretty cool, but we've still got a lot of time and waiting to do for things to really grow in and start to thrive. So as you can see, we've got a little pond area in the bottom left-hand corner for drinking or swimming or whatever. I mean, obviously you can see right there those little white specks. Those are the springtails. They're having a blast. They're taking a little bath in their own little private whirlpool down there. Oh man, you can see them swimming all over the place. Hopefully they can get out. That's why we left the rocks there, so they could climb out if they wanted to. And then next to that, you'll see this black substance with some green. That is the BioDude's Hydro Grow. It's basically a really thick, dense piece of aquarium filter pad. It's really dense, so it's not really compressible, so it's keeping the substrate up out of the water, but it's also allowing the water underneath to pass through to the filter in the back corner. So here you can see the screen that we use to separate the Hydro Grow from the carbon filtration and drainage layer, and then you can see about 3/4 of an inch to an inch of that carbon charcoal drainage substrate filtration, and then above that we've got, you know, 2-3 inches of the BioDude's Terra Flora substrate. Really love the stuff from the BioDude. Can't recommend him enough. He's a great guy. Down there, now in the bottom right hand corner, I'm not going to move because the glare is going to take over if I do. But you can see that tube, the vinyl tube. It's a 1/2 inch tube coming up from the Fluval 55 gallon per hour nano filter. It's like a shrimp tank filter or something. So that is feeding this 1/2 inch vinyl tube that's going up behind the cork part, and is then feeding water to this vinyl tubing. It's got some holes punched in it for a wet drip wall on the back, and then also it takes care of feeding the little water feature here in the front. You see it trickling down into the moss. Everybody's nice and wet and happy, staying hydrated. Cool little trough there for the water to trickle down. I'm gonna back it out because we're getting kind of goofed up here. And it also filters back, comes full circle all the way down into the pond area. Now when we're talking about the wet wall, which you can see on the back and on the side behind this sheet moss here, the wet wall consists of just a regular white filter pad. So this is 3/4 of an inch thick, you know, and it's creating a little microclimate for the epiphytic plants, the mosses that are planted on the wall. So we've got this, and then over the top of this filtration pad on this side wall and on the back wall, we've got a really cool product called Hygrolon. Hygrolon is, I think it's a woven polyester fiber. It's really thin. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, not even. Maybe a 1/16. It's like woven polyester fiber in kind of like a honeycomb shape. This stuff is really cool because it wicks water like a foot upwards. And they've been using it over in Europe to grow plants on walls and on you know, terrarium structures and things for years. It's now available in the United States from a company, I believe, called Glassbox Tropical, and I can link to them if anybody's interested in this product. I'm really impressed with it so far. We did a little test, and it actually really does wick water up at least a foot. I did a cool little test outside, you know, with a cup of water, and dunked some Hydrolon, one end of it in there, and pasted the other end up on a post with some tape. Left it sit for a few hours, and sure enough, that water wicked all the way up at least a foot up out of the water. And that's outside, you know, when it's evaporating and everything too. That might have had something to do with it, you know, just the evaporation sucking and pulling the water up. But I'll tell you what, the little Hydrolon branch that I've got going in here, you can see the front of it there with some moss planted on it, and it's plugged into the cork round in the back. That sucker stays moist all the time, and what that is it's actually a neat little product from Glassbox Tropicals. That it's just a little piece of foam, right, that I ran a piece of wire through, you can see it, and then so now I can shape it however I want. It's a little piece of foam covered in Hydrolon. Really cool product. I had to install the wire myself, but it was pretty easy. Just a wire hanger, and shoved it through the middle, and that was it. That's basically it for the structure. It's pretty self-explanatory. You guys can see pretty much what we did there. Wasn't super hard. We got the majority of the build done in a day. The other part was just waiting for stuff to come in. So now we'll talk about the plants. What I really like about this is that we got some plants in, and the plants are already doing great. We've got some, obviously up in the front, we got some baby's tears here, the little guys. This is baby's tears here and here. We propagated them for a little bit in a little moss chamber that we've got sitting next to the tank. We've got mosses growing in there. So we let the baby's tears kind of get going in there. They're doing really good for only being in for a week. They're already growing up towards the light, looking pretty spry. We've got some Riccia moss from knee herp down there between the rocks and on the front of the little Hydrolon tube. You can see it's starting to grow in. It's probably going to take quite a while. I hear it's a very slow growing aquatic plant, but we're hoping that it's really going to fill in nice. So it's going to take a little bit of time. We've got dusk moss mix that is already greening up pretty nicely here, and that is what is on that surface there. You can see going on the Hydrolon tube and dying into the cork bark flat. That's actually, I mean, I was really surprised. It's a dry mix from the same company that makes the Hydrolon, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Dusk moss mix on the Hydrolon tube. On the back wall, we've got some knee herp moss mix that's staying pretty consistently moist, and I like the way that it's growing. And we got some little sprouts already, you can see, coming in, not even a week already. On the left hand side, knee herp sheet moss, and that is actually getting some sprouts on it already too. You can see there it's looking really healthy and vibrant green. So that's gonna I got it held in place on the Hydrolon with some toothpicks, just because the root structure hasn't really developed yet, or had time to develop. So we've got that tacked in place till it takes hold real good. Then in the very middle, I love this plant. This is my favorite in the entire enclosure, I think. They're all my favorite, but this is right here in the very middle. This is a Pilea mollis. Moon Valley is, I believe, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I did a little research. You know, the silly greenhouses are on here, just put a really generic name on all these plants, tropical foliage. So we have to do our own legwork and figure out what it is. But it's got a really nice lime green and some purple veining, you know, in the leaves. You can see on the underneath, that purple and pink is really gonna start to come out, I think, under the bright light. Then in the very back corner there, we've got a nice, beautiful purple Peperomia auregra, or you know, the layman's term, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Let me know. I'm no plant expert. Is a watermelon Peperomia. It's beautiful purple. The purple is coming and going in patches. I'm hoping that it's gonna continue to do that and get kind of blotchy purple. Really like that a lot. Up in the front here, one of my other like I said, every single one is my favorite. Some new growth already after only a week is a really cool, I think, yellow archangel. Like I said, we're doing our own research on this. The places, our suppliers for plants, don't really know a heck of a lot about everything. They're real generic with the descriptions. As near as I can tell, it's a yellow archangel, Lamium gabaladamon variegatum, I think is the Latin word. Galabdalon. I can't read either today. Galabdalon variegatum. And in the back is a really neat looking purple fern. Purple. I hope it stays that color. It's coming in. New growth, really nice. You got some green leaves on the bottom there. But hopefully that thing stays and keeps shooting out these little purple growths and stays purple. I would love that. Also on the yellow archangel, it's crazy, these like silver patches. When we first got it, we were looking at it and going, I told Erin, my wife, I told her, hey, I think this thing is spray painted. And we did a little bit more research and find out, well, it's not spray painted at all. That's just the way they look. So it's just a very cool, unique plant. Silver freaking spray paint on it, but it's not spray paint. It's some of the inherent coloring of the leaves. So the last thing we're going to talk about today, I feel like, is one of the most important factors to consider when you're talking about planting a tropical vivarium: lighting. Lighting is overlooked a lot of the time, I think. I feel like LED lighting is the best bang for the buck. It provides a lot of light output per square inch, and as far as heat goes, these fixtures get decently warm on the top, but there's really not a whole lot of heat being projected into the enclosure, which is good. So we try to shoot for about 2 to 3 watts of LED power per gallon of volume. So this is a 12 by 12, it's about a cubic foot. So then we're talking about 7.4 gallons of volume. So for 2 to 3 watts, I go on the high end because I'm crazy. I go 3 watts per gallon. So we would be looking at a minimum of 22.2 watts of LED power that we would need, to properly light this. Or if you want to look at it in lumens, about 100 lumens per gallon, which would be 740 lumens minimum, in my experience and my recommendation. We're using 2 Evo from Green Element. They're called Evo 12. I've seen them called Evo Quad. I've seen them called all kinds of stuff. But they basically have, I'm not going to try to blind you, but we've got 2 rows of 3 LEDs. So a total of 6 LEDs at 3 watts a piece. So we're talking 18 watts per unit. We've got 2 units. That is 36 watts of power. Each fixture is rated for 1,000 lumens, and I actually got a reading at about just above substrate level of 1,400 lumens under just the one side. So we're sitting pretty good. Now if you look, let me check this out. I'm going to turn one of these off, all the way off. It's still pretty bright in there, but if you notice, the back is no longer well lit. And that's the reason we decided to go with 2. So that's all on, and the difference is pretty incredible. It's been really beneficial to our plant growth and our moss growth. So following those guidelines, I think, is really important. I can't say enough good things about these Evo fixtures. I really would like to look into acquiring them for Reptilia Exotica because I'm very impressed. We've done a lot of research with lights. We've tried, all kinds of different lighting setups and styles, and for efficiency, cost, per unit, cost per lumen, I would say fixtures like this is an aquarium light fixture. It's just got some wire stands that extend out from the side. These actually measure 11 inches wide, but they're perfect. They're perfectly sized for this particular vivarium. So I feel like we're lighting it very efficiently. Even though we have 2 fixtures on here, if you weren't trying to get really intense growth, you could probably get away with just 1 over the top of this size terrarium, no problem. That being said, it's pretty short, so if you went any taller with the like if it were a 12 by 12 by 18 inches tall, you would almost certainly want to go with 2 fixtures if you were going for a planted tropical vivarium. I'm going to do a whole nother video on lighting because it's scientific and I'm a nerd and I don't want to bore your ear off about it. But for this setup and for me, these 2 fixtures are working beautifully. They're not really adding too much heat to the enclosure, which is important. We're hovering right around, you know, between the upper 70s and very low 80s. As the summer creeps in, I don't know that I might have to adjust that and attach a thermostat so we don't cook the plants and cook anybody in there. But as of right now, I'm very, very happy with the way the lighting setup is. I think everything's looking beautiful. Why don't you guys let us know what you think? If you like this video, if you think I'm a total piece of crap and you don't like anything I've said, at least we'll know where we stand. Just drop us a line, let us know what's up. If you think, you want to see some more from us, and I promise you I will have my gorgeous wife, Erin, who is my partner at Reptilia Exotica, in some future videos with me, so you'll have something really pretty to look at. Drop us a like if you like the video. Smack subscribe if you want to do that. Tell me what you think about us in the comments, and we will talk to you later. Have a kick-ass day. Baba booey to y'all.
Somebody drop down the song. Me?
Oh my.